Hi everybody, I'm John Bard, Managing Editor of Children's Book Insider, the newsletter for children's writers, and Fight and Bookworm-in-Chief at the CBI Clubhouse, the community for children's book writers. If you've been sending out your manuscripts to publishers and all you're doing is building a collection of rejection letters, listen up. Today, we're going to talk about why your manuscript keeps getting rejected and how to fix it. It's based on more than 20 years of critiquing over 2,500 manuscripts. We've seen the same mistakes made again and again, and we've listened in as writers tell us about the rejection letters they've received. So, let's put a stop to it right here, right now. Problem 1. The story is too slight. This most often applies to picture books. What it means is that the story doesn't have enough going for it for the publisher to risk thousands of dollars bringing the book to market. The reasons are abundant. The plot's too predictable, meaning we've seen this story before in other variations. The idea is not original enough. The text doesn't lend itself to varied scenes that would support illustrations. The story doesn't beg for repeat readings. It's too ordinary, perhaps too much based on ordinary life, without any twists or surprises. Here's the fix. Go back to the drawing board. Brainstorm on how to make your ordinary idea extraordinary. Think outside the box. Don't be afraid to ask, what if, at any point in your story. If your story is based on real life, change facts to make good fiction. A related criticism of nonfiction is that the treatment of the topic is too general, or perhaps not unique enough. This also calls for refining your idea to find an original way of exploring the subject. Problem 2. The plot's not working. This includes plots that never take off. There's no catalyst. Middles of stories that don't develop the problems set out at the beginning and/or don't lead to the book's resolution. Books based on a theme or message or lesson and not on a plot. Subplots that don't relate to the main story in any way. Too much backstory, especially in the first and second chapters. And premises that don't make sense. We see this a lot in fantasy stories. Finally, plots that have no relevance to your target audience. Here's the fix. As a writer, if you're made aware of flaws in your plot, you do yourself a service by reading quality published books in your genre, and then taking the time to deconstruct exactly how the action unfolds. You might even pull out a notepad and create an outline based on what you've just read. Editors can explain good plotting techniques, but they won't sink in until you see them demonstrated by master storytellers. Then, be prepared to unravel your book and rebuild it from the ground up. It's very rare that a weak plot can be fixed by a new scene here or a cut or stitch there. It usually requires an overhaul. Problem: one-note characters. If your protagonist doesn't have enough layers to remain interesting throughout the entire book, he's got to be reimagined. If your antagonist doesn't push all the right buttons in your main character, you're not going to have much tension in your story. And if all your secondary characters have the same personality, your plot will be flat and unbelievable. Here then, the fix. Brainstorm on your protagonist, asking lots of personal questions about his past and present life, his family, his dreams, his hopes, his disappointments. Make sure you balance out strengths with weaknesses and give him room to grow. Then, do the one thing successful writers understand and too many unpublished writers often don't. Be mean to your character. Think about what he wants most in the world and how you'll keep him from getting it. This is where your antagonist might come in. Imagine his worst fear and how you'll make it come true. This provides the basis for your plot and the basis for how your protagonist will rise above himself and become a hero to your readers. A biggie. The writer's voice isn't strong, unique, or appealing. Good voice is one of those elusive qualities that editors have a hard time describing, but they know it when they see it. It's the writer's style, and it's what makes their story different from anyone else's. It's a combination of technique, imagination, worldview, humor, pacing, and connection to the reader. Strong voice, coupled with an exciting plot, can mask a manuscript's other flaws. Here's the fix. Read, 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 and then write, write, write. Read authors you admire and emulate their style. If you do this long enough, you'll move from mimicking to creating something special. Experiment with different types of storytelling. Even write for other age groups, apart from your own manuscript. And this is important. Write as you speak, not as a, quote, writer. The final problem is something we see all too often: abundant grammatical errors. When submitting to an editor, grammatical errors can distract from an otherwise strong book. When self-publishing, they're the kiss of death. If you know you have problems with punctuation, spelling, subject-verb agreement, formatting dialogue, etc., hire a good copy editor to clean up your manuscript. There are people out there who live to fix these problems. Use them. Everything we've talked about today involves time and some rewriting, often extensive. To create a quality book, you have to be willing to work hard and be happy to do it. Only make revisions you agree with, but be open to objectively considering all suggestions. If you're self-publishing, you'll be taking on the responsibilities of writer, editor, and publisher. Give each of these titles the time and effort they deserve, and then you'll be ready to call yourself a published author. That's it for today. I invite you to come join us at cbiclubhouse.com and see what the fightin' bookworms of the CBI Clubhouse are up to now. Till next time, this is John Bard reminding you, keep writing.